everyone, welcome back to my Let's Play of NieR Replicant version 395. When we last left off, we got the first ending A, and your comments genuinely are making me concerned because they're kind of like, yeah, you were sad now? Better get them tissues ready for ending B. And I'm like, Jesus, criminy, I did not sign up for trauma. NieR Replicant, alright, I did not sign up for this, but I guess I kind of did. So, thank you guys for all your nice comments and all your really helpful comments. I really appreciate it. Also, if my voice sounds off, it's because I just ate a bagel. My throat is one of those things where it's like, oh, you just ate food, let's be all like, so if I sound weird, my bad. But yeah, so I got some comments saying that I know, like, I tend to, like, hypothesize a lot with story and stuff, and I promise sometimes I know I sound like I don't understand what's going on, but I do. It's just that I'm getting ideas out there. Like, 13 Sentinels was a big example of this, where I would just spew all of my thoughts out. Not all of them are gonna stick, obviously. Not all of them do I really mean. It's just kind of like, let's brainstorm and have fun. So I know some of you recommended I look at the project just Gestalt, I'm gonna mess up the name, documents that apparently disappear after you do the ending. So for the third time, I went through all the battles and got to the point where Devil and Popola unlocked the documents for us, and I figured we'd go through and read them, because I just want to make sure I may be getting some stuff wrong. So obviously I do want to make sure I correct it, and I want to make sure that you guys get to see everything the game has to offer. It's very important to me. So I might read all these really quick, actually. So Love Letter 513340. Whoa, that was like not too long ago. What the heck? My dearest beloved, this is going great. My dearest beloved, 50 years have passed since I last gazed upon your face. How is it possible? When next we meet, I hope you can look past the wrinkles of an old man and see into a soul as young as the day we first met. This passage of time has led me to think upon our earlier days. When we first met, you were the prettiest girl in town, and now you're butt ugly. No, I'm kidding. Your beauty was what first attracted me to you, but it was your kind heart which ensnared my soul. It gladdens me to read your letters, for I can see in them that your spirit is as wonderful as ever. I thank the gods each day that we fell in love, even as I curse them for keeping us apart. I will see you again. Wait for me, my love. That was a really depressing storyline. Letter from the mayor. We read this, right? Yep. Dream. It's my favorite letter I've ever gotten in any video game ever. Wedding invitation. We read that. Underground research record. Okay, I think I read this, but Plant Snow White archival storage. Archival. 8226. Following the recent incident with number 6, we've decided to establish an archival room. This room will hold records on the methods used to control and or cancel all forms of magic. Did I read this? I apologize if I did, but it's good for a refresher, right? Including petrification and bestial transformation, as well as other projects to move forward. Specifically, this should make it easier to complete a long-term storage solution for number 6, as well as proceed with our work on number 7, which we'll read more about when we get to the actual project Gestalt files. All employees are required to keep the courtyard entrance to the new room secure. Failure to do so is considered grounds for immediate termination. Okay. So Plant Snow White is one thing, and then Gestalt is a different, I think. Number 2, see progress report on number 6, 12/25/25, Christmas. We have completed the initial research into number 6 and are ready to initiate the startup experiment in the coming days. What's weird is that number 6 is it's a manga and an anime. If you've watched it, and I really love it. I hated the ending because I like happy, hopeful endings. But every time I see number 6, I think of that anime or manga, and it's really weird. Anyways, as this will likely make a great leap forward in Gestalt research, the National Weapons Research Laboratory has made the completion of the number 6 project its top priority. Budgets for all other projects are to be frozen effective immediately. Okay, so this is either part of or the predecessor research to the Gestalt research. Okay. Number 3. Oh, yes, there they are. It's May 9/12/26. Oh, that's almost my birthday. Today's meeting will address the following topics: a solution for long-term storage of number 6, progress report on number 7, disguising the laboratory's above-ground facility as a mansion. Meeting agenda. Oh, God. PTSD, I've been in so many meetings. All right, number 4, number 6, 10, 11, 25. The donor body Halua has been chosen from among the 7 candidate subjects to proceed to the next stage. In the interest of protecting state secrets, all but one of the remaining subjects will be disposed of. The donor body Emil, however, will be kept in storage as a failsafe measure. Poor Emil. My boy. Letter from Emil. We read that. Weapon upgrade notice. We read that. Letter from the chief of the area. Yeah, And then here we go. Okay, so we've got looks like these are maybe the dates or they're just numbers. Project Gestalt Report 923. As noted in the previous report, implementation of Gestalt node can prevent the white chlorination syndrome we recently experienced. Okay, maybe that was the Project Snow White related to that. Transfer of bodily information to civilization repressed replicants. Ah! The name of the series, I get it now, is proceeding as planned with the genes of the originals safely stored inside. So these are the shells. Civilization repressed replicants. Okay. The originals, I'm guessing, are the original humans. Our role as surveillance androids to prepare for when the incurable bacterial disease eventually dies out is also underway. Okay, so bacterial disease. So far, this is proceeding without issue. Observer 21, codename Popola. Okay, so it was a bacteria, probably as seen on the left. Oh my god, I want to see the graphs on the right. What does that say? Mental stability numerical value. Ooh, I didn't know you could measure mental stability in a number. And then I see sleep 32%. Sounds about right. Okay. Cool. It gives me like Resident Evil vibes. All right, 9182. Let's see. This document discusses potential strategies for the relapse cases we have observed in recent years. The term relapse, of course, refers to the catastrophic loss of sentience seen in certain gestalts. Okay, so that's what they're called. The shades. The syndrome has defied even our most pessimistic initial estimates and continues to trend upward with disturbing speed. With some relapsed gestalts beginning to attack replicants, there is an urgent need to take comprehensive action. We remain convinced that an unknown technological defect in the gestalt transformation process is responsible for the condition, but so far I've been unable to confirm this theory. Research of this condition is now our top priority and looks likely to continue for some time. Observer 22, codename Devila. Okay, so the shades are gestalts, which I guess are the remaining bodies of the original humans, and the replicants are their souls sort of placed into these replicant shells. The souls of the originals. Okay. We're connecting the dots. I'm retracting all the weird stuff I said last episode, and we're gonna make, oh, sorry, I hit my mic. We're gonna make sense from now on. Okay, so 10432. Look at the books. Shorthand minutes of case 23, emergency response conference, committee special meeting. Issue, observed upward trend in relapses, noted and discussed. Issue, acceleration of restoration schedule approved. Report, debate over using codename NieR for human restoration schedule. Report, preparations to launch a Vice decoding system for above. Okay, so NieR is the book that would restore the humans. I'm guessing by returning their shell, their souls inside the shells, the replicants, to the gestalts or the shades. Report, but Vice would be the decoding system to allow for that to happen. Okay, so that's why he said, like, we must become one. Decode me, we need to restore the humans. Report, order collection of guidance and release code for Dark Stelia alongside Vice launch. That's me. Order collection of guidance and release code. Interesting. Okay. Observers 2122, Popola and Devila. So, I wonder if I was just supposed to be a mechanism for basically restoring the humans in some way, shape, or form. Interesting. Okay. Huh. Okay, and then the last one, 11242. Okay. We've determined that the rise of relapses was due to, an unexpected spike in the sentience of replicants, as well as a genetic instability within their original gestalt. Seems the original's effect on bodies that have undergone the gestalt process was not anticipated in advance. Immediate action must be undertaken to identify the links between this trend and the original gestalt, along with its sister, the relapse case known as Iona. The observer contact group is growing uneasy, so finding a solution to the relapse issue should be considered a top priority. See other reports for more details. Observer 21, codename Popola. Okay. So the relapses, I'm guessing, is, what's it called? The Black Scrawl, probably, right? The replicants, the Black Scrawl. If any of this is wrong, I do apologize. Feel free to correct me. I'm not the person to get mad when I'm misunderstanding stuff. I like to think I normally can, but there's a potential I'm not getting it wrong. Okay, so very interesting stuff. I just wanted to show that to you guys because thank you guys for letting me know they do disappear apparently when we go into the second ending. But yeah, so I read all that, and now I need to... Can I, like, quit to the main menu? I don't know if I can. Options? Yeah, we can load, right? There we go. Yes. Okay, so we're gonna go with this one. Level 30, library, ending A achieved. Yes. Oh, I'm nervous. Apparently this is even more sad. I can't wait. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee real fast before it gets cold. I hope you guys are doing well, by the way. Thank you for your continued support of the series. I really appreciate it, and I hope you're having fun. I'm having a blast, so I'm excited to keep going. My upload schedule has been kind of trash this week. I apologize.
Whenever I interacted with Kaine, I was reminded about something from my past. Maybe my mind has been confusing her with my sister this whole time. Anyway...
Kaine's dreams discrimination. Oh no. Sorry, I was drinking coffee. The sound of rain filled the village. The steep cliffs that surrounded the area magnified sound, causing even the slightest drizzle to rattle like a thunderstorm. Thin wisps of smoke streamed from huts as the villagers huddled in their homes and waited out the rain. A single child, however, had braved the downpour and was now wandering slowly toward the wooden, hawk-shaped weather vane at the center of town. The wanderer reached the vane, which had existed for as long as any could remember, and stared. The child's face was simultaneously delicate and fierce, like a teacup that had survived a shipwreck. That is an amazing simile. Those traits combined with pale white skin to give the face an almost sexless quality. If the beak turns east, I go home. If it stays west, then I... The child blinked. Rain slowly dripped down the young one's short hair and began its long descent to the ground. Come on. Come on! The child felt a slight breeze and watched as the vein slowly creaked to life. Spinning this way and that for a moment, it finally settled with the beak pointing firmly towards the east. East? Really? Before the vein could move again, a jagged rock came spinning and tumbling through the air, striking home against the child's head. Oh god. The force of the blow dropped the child to the ground as a hail of stones began to fall all around. Oh no, they found me. A heartbreaking smile crept across the child's face as the stone continued their assault. Through the rain, the sound of multiple footsteps grew louder before a voice rang out. Yoo-hoo, Kaine! The voice belonged to Demo, worst of all the bullies in the Eyrie. Oh god. As Kaine struggled to stand, a final stone came skittering through the mud and bounced against her foot. Blood oozed from a cut above her eye and blurred her vision, but she could make out the shapes of Demo and his usual gang of idiots. The boy seemed taken aback for a moment by Kaine's seeming indifference to the blood dripping from her face, but quickly regained his bravado. What's up, freak? You like the rain? You like getting all wet? Or did you finally decide to run away from home? Though she knew it was futile, Kaine turned to leave. Before she could get more than a few steps, the other children scrambled to surround her, cruelty burning in their eyes. Kaine knew those were not the only eyes on her. The tormentor's parents watched from the safety of their homes. She was attuned to this sensation. It was one she had experienced many times before. While some villagers simply turned a blind eye to the actions of their children, many encouraged it openly. In a society ruled by superstition and fear, Kaine was something to be hated and, if possible, destroyed. I didn't say you could leave, freak! Demo's words chewed at her like a worm through an apple. He can't hurt me, she lied to herself. Be strong, be brave. He can't hurt me. He can't hurt me. He can't hurt... Oh look, the little freak is gonna cry. What's wrong? Are you sad that everyone hates you and wants you dead? Kaine prayed for the rain to flood down and carry her away from a world that seemed to have no place for her. But if they were gods, they chose to ignore her. As Demo crept even closer, the clouds began to thin and the rain slowed. Even the weather hates me. I'm useless. A failure. I wish Demo's rock had taken my head off. Kaine couldn't meet Demo's leering gaze. She lowered her eyes and stared at the muddy ground below. The bully moved forward until he was inches away. She could smell the scent of old meat on his breath. The boy grabbed Kaine's face with thick fingers and yanked it upward. She tried to turn away, but he forced her gaze back and jammed his thumb against her eyelid to pry it open. Show me. No. Did you just say no? Demo grinned evilly. You don't say no to me. No one says no to me. Not even taking his attention from Kaine, he called to his cohorts. Come on, guys. Let's give the freak what she deserves. As soon as Demo finished, kicks and blows began to rain down about Kaine. Demo paused, still grinning, as Kaine curled into a ball and tried to make the pain stop. I don't get you, freak. What you acting like a girl for, huh? Everyone knows what you really are. Kaine ignored the question, choosing instead to stare at the weather vane, and continued to point east, as if supremely confident about the future it had chosen for her. Go home? Yeah, that's a funny joke for someone with dead parents and no home to go to. Freak! Chanted the children. Freak, freak, freak! Kaine closed her eyes and listened to the rain, waiting for the pain to start again. As the clutching hands of the village children closed around her, she bent her mind to the sound of the rain, letting it become her world entire. The rain fell, but the pain never came. Only when the laughter of her tormentors turned to terrified cries did she dare open a single blood-caked eye. Kaine was shocked to see Demo sprawled on the ground, holding his head and screaming in pain. She could see blood welling from spaces between his fat, twisted fingers. Oh my god, he's crying! He's actually crying! Deprived of their leader, the other children glanced back and forth between themselves, as if waiting for someone to step forward and take charge. When no savior emerged, they began an uneasy shuffle away from Kaine. But the young girl was the least of their concerns. Instead, their attention was wrapped on the ancient woman standing a few feet away. After struggling for breath for a moment, she finally spoke in a voice thick with rage. Hurts like a bitch, don't it? Now I suggest you scatter before I throw another one. And if any of you little bastards ever touch my Kaine again, I'll do far worse than throw a rock. You can count on it. The old woman crouched down and gently touched the hand Demo was using to cover the wound. Before he could think to protest, she ground her palm into the wound and twisted back and forth. Damn, you go, Grandma! Ow! He screamed, limping to his feet. Stop it! What are you doing? Quit whining. Ain't no one ever died from a scratch. You hit me with a rock, you stupid bitch, and a big one. That thing could have killed me. The old woman shrugged. Death is the best cure for stupid. Demo's face twisted with rage at her words. Locking his eyes on Kaine, he took a step backward and spat on the ground. Get out! Leave this village! No one wants you here, either of you! Seeing the old woman grab another stone, Demo and his companions turned tail and ran. As they fled, the old woman grabbed her side and barked out a single laugh. Ah, look at that fat boy go! Guess he's healthy enough to run from a fight. The woman's smile faded as she turned her attention to Kaine. Kneeling down, she removed her shawl and placed it around the young girl's shoulders, then produced a cloth from the folds of her dress and began blotting at the blood on her forehead. Oh, Kaine, she said, why didn't you fight back? You're stronger than that lot. The words of her grandmother stung Kaine, and she turned away. Don't be nice to me, she said. I don't deserve it. Nothing matters anymore. Her tears, held in check for so long, finally began to fall on the muddy ground below. Everyone hates me. They think I caused bad things to happen. They think I'm a freak. I wish I was dead. As Kaine's tears turned to sobs, she felt her grandmother's hands on her shoulders. Despite her advanced age and diminutive size, she was a woman of surprising strength. Kaine found herself unable to turn away. Don't talk like that, girl. It's a river wide and deep that flows between the realms of this world and the next, and it grants no mercy to any that attempt the crossing. You got a duty to fight until your last breath. Understand? The old woman tightened her grip and tried to still the tremor in her voice. You know the pain of losing someone close to you, Kaine. You know because you survived it. As the words hit home, Kaine was struck by the force of her love for the old woman. As a young child, she didn't even know of her grandmother, but when her parents died, the woman quickly accepted her as her own. Grandma, as Kaine called her, was cunning, vulgar, and quick to violence, and their first few years together had not been easy. With each year that passed, Kaine and her grandmother had grown closer. However, it was only now, sitting in the mud with tears and blood caking her face, that Kaine truly understood the depths of her affection. Here was a woman who had seen hard times, who had seen death, who had fought through all these things and somehow emerged on the other side. If anyone could understand Kaine's pain and loneliness, it was her. "Do I make you sick, Grandma?" "Course not! Don't be an ass!" Kaine drew her grandmother's moth-eaten shawl around her body and shuddered. "But my body, it's not normal. If I was normal, then Mom and Dad wouldn't—" "Hush!" interrupted Grandma. "I'll not hear another word of this nonsense. You're my granddaughter, and I love you, and if folks have a problem with that, they can just go to hell." With that, the old woman reached out and placed a wreath of dried flowers in Kaine's hair. The skill it took to bend the flowers without breaking the stems or losing a single petal was remarkable, and the beauty of it made Kaine want to cry all over again. "Oh my gosh, these are lunar tears. Grandma, you made this for me?" Lunar tears were legendary flowers. Most people could live their entire lives without ever seeing one, yet her grandmother had somehow collected a dozen or more. Kaine reached up and touched the wreath as if she couldn't believe it was real. Where did you find these?" "Just stumbled on 'em when I was out doing the shopping." The old woman turned away as she spoke, leading Kaine to suspect that the search had been more difficult than she was letting on. The pains she took to construct the ornament, let alone track down the flowers used in its construction, made Kaine's heart hurt. She reached up and gently adjusted the wreath, admiring the way it felt between her fingers. "Didn't quite turn out right," her grandmother said as she squinted at it. "These old hands have trouble with delicate work, but it sure looks good on a pretty girl like you." Kaine blushed and turned away. You think I'm pretty?" "Of course you are. What's a fool thing to say?" Thank you, Grandma." Her grandmother smiled. "We're gonna be fine, you and me," she said. "Long as we got each other, we'll be just fine." Kaine took her grandmother's hand in hers, and the two of them struggled to their feet. As they began the long walk home, Kaine gripped the hand with all her might, as if trying to stop smoke from drifting away on the wind. The rain had stopped. Kaine stood beneath the weather vane, watching it spin in lazy circles, no longer caring about the direction it faced when it stopped. "I don't need to escape. I have a home now. Grandma loves me, and that's enough. Even if it's us against the world." Kaine let her gaze drift up past the vane and into the cloudy sky. The last faint hits of a rainbow were slowly fading. As she turned and headed for home, the light scattered into a million particles and vanished, seemingly taken away on the breeze. Kaine's dreams, daily life. In the distance, Kaine heard the steady sounds of an axe striking wood. The noise had a purposeful quality to it, as if she was hearing a master woodsman go about his work. The firewood being produced, however, was as far from a work of art as could be. Pieces of every shape and size were being flung about a barren yard with wild abandon. Anyone trying to stack such wood would probably die of frustration before the job was through. "Stupid piece of shit axe!" "Stupid piece of shit axe!" Kaine's grandmother flailed away with the axe, filling the air with both splinters of wood and words that would make the most hardened sailor blush. "Grandma," called Kaine. "At you, Kaine!" yelled the old woman, taking her eyes off the wood for a moment. "Don't get too close, or I might take your goddamn foot off by mistake." She brought the axe down on a piece of wood, sending chips flying in every direction. One spun past Kaine close enough for her to hear the whistle, at which point she decided to step back. Once she had scuttled to a safe distance, she cupped her hands around her mouth and shouted, "Grandma, do you need help?" Do you need help? I can get you water or lunch or, a new axe or something." The axe, poised to strike another wobbly blow, paused in midair. The old woman considered her granddaughter's offer for a moment, then smiled. Tell you what, since I'm doing such a piss poor job of chopping, why don't you come here and take over so I can go get the water? Shades have been restless lately, and I don't want you running into one of them bastards. Relinquishing the axe, her grandmother picked up a long pole with wooden buckets on either end. Gathering water was by far the more difficult of the two jobs, but Kaine knew better than to complain. Once Grandma's mind was set, there was no changing it. Kaine did her best to help with chores, but Grandma took every task that required travel to the village. Though she had a long list of plausible excuses, Kaine knew the real reason. She didn't want her granddaughter to be taunted and harassed by the villagers. Once Kaine moved in, Grandma decided to take up residence a good distance from the area. Out of sight, out of mind seemed to be the best policy when it came to the villagers and her granddaughter, and rare were the days when any but the two of them could be found on the rocky acre of land they called home. Kaine enjoyed the solitude, but harbored a secret resentment that her grandmother was forced to spend her golden years in such a place. After watching her grandmother leave, Kaine turned her attention to the task at hand. She had never chopped wood before in her life, and soon discovered why the old woman hated the chore. Swing after swing of the axe produced only a tiny crack in the wood, and when she finally managed to connect with a solid stroke, the tool embedded itself in the log and refused to budge. Frustrated, Kaine swung the axe around her head and threw it, log and all, across the yard. Damn it! Crap. She suddenly understood the joy her grandmother felt in a good curse. Happier now, she picked up the axe, forced it from the wood, and resumed chopping. She had a natural skill with a blade, but the task was challenging, and blisters soon began to form on her small pink hands. This is tough. My logs are all weird sizes. Spitting out her palms and ignoring the pain, Kaine redoubled her efforts. Just as she was developing a rhythm, Grandma returned from the village. Setting down her buckets with a small sigh, she took one look at the logs and coughed out a wheezy laugh. Pretty clumsy, girl. You'd be better if you... Her grandmother suddenly collapsed to her knees, causing one of the buckets to wobble precariously. Oh no. This is gonna make me cry. I already know. Like, I was really close with my grandma, so this is gonna hit me way harder than it might the normal person. Okay. Eyes wide, Kaine dropped the axe and ran to her grandmother's side. Grandma? The old woman shook her head and pointed a trembling finger at the bucket. Get the bucket and let it spill. Kaine steadied the bucket with a foot as she knelt by her grandmother. Small bit of water sloshed over the side and made a new home in the hem of her dress, but Kaine didn't notice. Grandma? Grandma, what's happening? Crazed with panic, she grabbed her grandmother by the shoulders and shook. After a moment, the woman lifted her arms and batted Kaine away. Stop that! Just stop! She cried, breathing heavily. It ain't like I'm dying. Just tired from the trip is all. Kaine desperately wanted to believe her, but one look at the old woman's shaking hands and worn face told her more than words ever could. Her grandmother had lived a long, hard life, and it seemed the bill was finally coming due. The time when her grandmother watched over Kaine was ending. Sooner than either of them had feared, the positions would be reversed. The next morning, Kaine came to the side of her grandmother's bed and took her wrinkled hand. Grandma, you're sick and you need medicine. I'm going to the village. The old woman shook her head and tried to rise, but Kaine gently pushed her down. It's all right, she said. I'll be fine. Her grandmother fixed her with a gaze that could melt steel. After what seemed an eternity, she finally lowered her eyes and sighed. Well, I don't like it, god damn it. But I guess I should quit being so stubborn and let you grow up. The old woman watched as Kaine strapped on her boots and made her way down the road to the village. Hours later, as an unseen sun made its way across the dark and rainy sky, she was still watching. Kaine moved at a brisk pace, checking her pockets every few minutes to make sure the money her grandmother gave her was still there. Every noise caused her to spin on her heels, making sure she wasn't being stalked by a shade, or worse, Demo and his gang. But she encountered neither tormentors nor shades. Kaine finally found herself at the entrance to the village. The few adults she could see glanced sideways at her, then muttered to each other behind raised hands before slinking away into the shadows. Her heart racing, Kaine took a series of rapid, shallow breaths and tried to calm herself. I have to prove myself. I have to help Grandma. I have to be strong. She chanted those words to herself over and over as she slowly made her way. Finally, her eyes settled on a rotund older woman who was angrily waving her arms in the air, telling anyone who would listen exactly what she thought of Kaine's presence. "Hey lady," said Kaine with a bravado she did not feel. "Where's the apothecary?" The woman's flabby cheeks shook in bewildered anger. "How dare this thing speak to me?" they seemed to say. But Kaine saw that her eyes held a different emotion. Fear. "Yeah, we're both scared, lady. Trust me on this one." "Which way?" Kaine repeated. The woman pointed at a small building to her right before hitching up her dress and stumbling off in the other direction. Kaine cringed, expecting a stone to come flying from the assembled crowd, but none came. Her mind was filled with a strange sense of pride as she made her way to the apothecary, but the new emotion had little time to take root, for as soon as she opened the door, she noticed a familiar customer at the counter. It was Demo. He'd clearly been sent here on some kind of family errand, because his gang of followers was nowhere to be found. "Oh my god," he sputtered. What are you doing here, freak?" The insult was delivered without force, and Kaine happily ignored it. Stretching on tiptoes to see over the counter, she asked the shopkeeper for the medication. Oh, maybe they haven't gotten older. I thought it had been a couple years. Okay, never mind. "Ha!" barked Demo. "That old bitch finally keel over?" "Go to hell, Demo!" The boy's eyes grew so wide they seemed ready to fall out of his head. But before he could let fly a comeback, or worse, a punch, the apothecary told him to knock it off before he kicked him out of the store. Demo slunk out of the shop, cursing Kaine under his breath. Once he was gone, she allowed herself to breathe once more, taking a brief tour of the shop while the owner prepared her medication. Countless tiny bottles filled the cramped store, each with a label written in some indecipherable language. An ocean of aromas assaulted her nose, creating a scent that was exotic but not altogether unpleasant. Seeing such a variety of supplies gave Kaine a sense of peace. Surely, in a world so vast, there would be a place that she could call home. On the far wall behind the counter rested a portrait of a stunning young girl. The picture had once contained bright, vibrant colors, but time had worked its cruel magic, and they were beginning to fade. The beauty of the work, however, remained undiminished. "You like that picture?" Kaine turned to the apothecary with a small vial of medicine in his hand. His eyes were gentle but sad. They seemed to stare through her and into nothing as he spoke. "That's my daughter. I sketched it when she was just a little girl. She's been dead a long time now." Kaine didn't know how to respond. She just stared at the portrait and tried to come up with the right words. "Pictures are wonderful things," continued the shopkeeper. "They let the ones closest to you live on forever." He shook his head slightly, then looked down at Kaine and smiled. Handing her the medicine, he reached into his sizable green apron and produced a handful of old wax crayons. "You should have these. There's no one left that I wish to draw." Kaine took an instinctive step back, causing the shopkeeper's face to darken. "Yes, I've heard the rumors about you," he said. "It's a small village, and word travels quickly. Between you and me, I'm not sure which of them to believe, but I also don't think they matter much. I know your grandmother, Kali, and I think the way she was driven out of this town is just deplorable." "Grandma's name is Kali?" thought Kaine suddenly. She was still mulling this new fact over in her mind as she reached out and gently took the crayons from the apothecary's hands. "Your grandmother is an old friend of mine," he said as Kaine scooted away yet again, "and I owe her much. I wager she would like it if you drew a picture of her." "Yes, I think she would like that very much." Kaine murmured a quiet agreement, but inside her heart was bursting. Never before had a villager treated her with anything but complete contempt. It was a tiny, almost imperceptible step, but it was a step nonetheless, and with enough tiny steps, she might one day discover the rest of the world. When Kaine returned home, she found her grandmother asleep in her bed. Her feet were blackened and raw, even bleeding a bit in places, leading Kaine to think that she had been pacing around the room until exhaustion had finally caught up with her. She placed the medicine by her grandmother's pillow and turned to leave, but found the old woman's hand clasped around her arm. "Back already, are you?" asked her grandmother with a yawn. "Come here, let me have a look at you." Grandma sat up and examined Kaine from head to toe. Finally satisfied that nothing terrible had befallen her grandchild, she leaned back and allowed herself to relax. "Well, how was it? Those bastards give you any trouble?" "It was kind of fun," said Kaine with a small smile. "No, seriously, it was." "Fun, eh?" asked her grandmother in a voice which implied she had believed anything but. Uh-huh. So, anytime you need me to run an errand, just let me know. As she spoke, Kaine removed the crayons from her pocket. After a brief explanation of their source, she informed her grandmother that she was going to sketch her portrait. A portrait of me? Ridiculous. No one wants to stare at a wrinkled old crone. But Grandma, it'll make you live forever. Oh shit, said her grandmother, throwing back the sheet from her bed. Living forever would just piss me off. Now put those crayons away and help with dinner. But Kaine would not relent, and in the end, Grandma found herself leaning against the wall of their house as if posing for a master artist. Kaine took up the crayons, eyed her subject carefully, and set to work. Just as her grandmother was about to nod off, Kaine finished the piece. After staring at it for a bit, she released it from her grip and let it slowly drift to the floor. It's terrible. It doesn't look like you at all. I'm sorry, Grandma. I thought these crayons would, Oh, I'm sorry, Grandma. I thought these crayons would, make drawing easier or something? The old woman's eyes narrowed at her granddaughter's disappointment. Let me be the judge of that, she said, ignoring the pain in her back and reaching for the paper. The sketch could have been a person's face. It also could have been a boulder, a lump of clay, or an incredibly misshapen loaf of bread, all rendered in a chaotic array of colors. The old woman stared at the picture for a long time, and slowly wheezed out a laugh. Oh, Kaine, she said between laughter, you truly are my blood. You're as clumsy as me, and I love it. But, hush, I won't hear any more bull about how ugly you think it is. Came from the heart, and I'll treasure it always. True to her word, the old woman gave the picture a place of honor above the kitchen table. In the days that followed, Kaine would often catch her staring at the portrait with a strange smile on her face, an action she interpreted as silent, mocking laughter. A week later, Kaine could stand it no more and asked her grandmother to take the artwork down. Posh, said the old woman. I'll take this down when they roll me in my shroud. She pondered this for a bit, then turned to Kaine and dropped to one knee. Listen to me, girl. Seeing this picture makes me happy in a way I've never felt before. And it makes me want to go on, so that someday you can feel the same happiness. It was a moment that burned itself in Kaine's memory, a perfect blend of pride and love and joy that came together to form a lifelong remembrance. She swore to never forget this moment, to never forget the old woman who had made her place in the world possible. Time moves on. People and memories move in and out of life like ghosts passing through a hall. But this moment will be different, Kaine swore, because I will remember it forever. Forever. Kaine's dream separation. At that, I think I'm going to call it an episode for now, otherwise this will get too long. But thank you guys so much for watching. We'll continue reading about Kaine's stories in the next episode. And as always, feel free to leave a like, comment, favorite, or subscribe. For some reason, I feel like whispering when I'm reading things. Whatever you guys are feeling. And until the next time, lights off, dark out.